Great to be in your company tonight as we return after the international break. Great company alongside me here as well. Aston Villa captain Rachel Corsie in the house and Tim Sherwood. Tim, what do you do during the international break?
Oh, it's boring, isn't it? I mean, what can you do with no Premier League football? You know, I can't wait for it to start again. But, yeah, try to relax a little bit, play a little bit of golf. So managed to get enough in. But delighted it's back, you know, and it's back with a bang. For me, especially, there's a special game of football coming up on Sunday. The North London Derby is the biggest football game, in my opinion, in the world. But I'm biased. I'm from North London.
We're going to get more opinion on that game. It is the headline act, certainly. You've had a little bit of a busier interlull because you're gearing up for the new season, aren't you?
Yeah, I would just want to say, Tim, you should watch Scotland. You won't be bored.
Oh, I did. I still watched football, but I wasn't bored. No, they keep you entertained.
They do. But yes, we are just about at the start of our season, so pre-season has turned up the heat a little bit. Just the last few days of prep, so it's going well.
I don't know about you guys, but my memory's terrible. So I want us to rewind and remind everyone at home what happened in August, the opening month of the Premier League season. It started with an opening win for Manchester United. And what a way to announce yourself, Rachel, for Joshua Zirkzee.
Yeah, and there was probably a lot of Man United fans hoping that was going to be, you know, a big moment that then followed on the few weeks that continued. But it was a lovely finish, great goal, and I'm sure that's a dream moment when you first start at a new club, isn't it?
Yeah, that goal from Ipswich, Liam Delap, for the first time in 22 years as they mark their return. You saw Ed Sheeran as well. What about this back-to-back?
Yeah, this was bad news for everyone in the Premier League. This big man is absolutely on fire. I mean, it's not what you want to see if you're a manager or a fan of Arsenal or Manchester United.
Yeah, this was classic Premier League. 2-2 at half-time. And then Chelsea just went into a different gear. 6-2. What a game already. But what about this comeback from Bournemouth? Crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's unthinkable. I think I just went from being in the car, getting into the front door, and the scoreline turned around. Amazing to be a Bournemouth fan, but awful if you're Everton.
And then Mo Salah doing what he does against Manchester United there. Big win for Liverpool. What about this? Raheem Sterling, deadline day signing. And Declan Rice with this red card as well.
Yeah, huge Raheem. I think it's a great move for Arsenal. Red card, they're going to pay the price. Not going to be available for the North London Derby. I think it was quite right. I thought it was harsh at the time, but when you look at, you know, laws of the game, there's either no option but a second yellow card there. So unfortunate for Declan and for Arsenal.
I feel like we could talk for an hour, and that's only the first month of the Premier League done. We're going into the second one. Huge miss for Arsenal, Declan Rice. We're going to talk North London Derby right now. Just your initial thoughts on the excitement and, I guess, the drama and the entertainment of the first month of the season.
Yeah, the last month, I think, was great. A lot of teams really showed what they're capable of. I think some of the bigger teams, a lot of the managers mentioned that they were just starting to get into gear. I know Pep's touched on the fact that his players are now actually ready to start the season, which I think's maybe a little bit of mind games. I'm sure his players were ready a month ago as well. But it's been a good month, and hopefully that continues for us especially.
Definitely maybe, Tim. We'll definitely maybe get it over to them. Now, the only other side with a perfect record so far is Liverpool. And Arne could become the first manager in Premier League history to keep a clean sheet in his first 4 games in charge. They host Nottingham Forest.
They always have one question, and that's why they ask 2 in 1. Javi is, of course, a big disappointment for him, but not only for him, also for us, because, he didn't play that much in the first 3 games, but he played a lot in pre-season, and he showed himself really well. So, of course, when he stayed fit, he would have had a lot of playing time in the upcoming fixtures, but now he isn't, and that also gives a chance to someone else. So it's first and foremost a blow for himself, and in the end also for us, because I think availability is important in the phase of the season where we play 7 games in 22 days, I think. So it's a blow for the both of us, but he will work as hard as always to come back in the best possible way. And then Federico has trained with the team now 3 or 4 times. So let's see how he does today and which decision I make, because we have more than 20 players. So if I choose for a position or if I choose the ones that are the fittest at the moment.
During the international break, there's obviously been those quotes from Kelleher saying that he wants first-team football and will have to look elsewhere. How do you deal with a situation like that, where a member of the squad is effectively unsettled because he wants that opportunity for first-team football?
I would be really worried if a player comes out saying, I don't care about playing first team football. I like it so much on the bench, I want to stay there for the rest of my life. That would be a bigger worry for me. So it's normal that they want to play, but it's also normal that a club like this that tries to compete for trophies has more than 11 players that can play. And as long as they accept their situation, not accepting in a way I don't care that I'm not playing, but accepting it by helping the team whenever they have to, then it's a close place to be in. And I think Cruyff has shown many times in the past few years, and even in pre-season, that he's every time ready when we need him. So it's a good thing that he wants to play, and who knows, he's going to play for us in the future. At this moment, I think it's also quite clear that Alisson is the number one. But last season he played many games, so normal situation for a player to be in if you're not playing, that you want to play, but he handles the situation really well.
3 wins to start the season without conceding, which doesn't happen too often. It seems a big factor in that has been the form of Ryan Gravenberch. What has really made a difference, and what work has he had to put into, I suppose, learn that position?
Yeah, I learned that position. He's been a midfielder all his life, and maybe he's playing a bit deeper is the English word, I think, a bit lower, deeper, than he did before, but it's not that much of a difference. I think he, like the other ones who do really well, benefit from how the team is playing. And Ryan came back strong, like many others, and strong, I mean that he was really fit, played some good games and took his chance. But I think in general, like the others who score goals, and we are talking about the benefits also from the team structure.
Trust as well, though? Trust of you?
Yeah, if trust means that you play him, then I trust him. But I also trust the ones that I'm not playing. So I think it's always the most easy argument to give. Yeah, you give him trust, that's why he plays good. If it was that simple, I would have thrown my trust to every player. But we're going to go out to the training ground hoping to prepare them in the best possible way. I believe more in this than in the word trust. But if he trusts his teammates, if he trusts the structure, then and the way we play, that will help, of course. Yeah.
Given the international break after the 3 games that you'd had and such a great start, is there any concern that the momentum that you built up there might be interrupted because of that?
That's always the questions after 2 weeks. But if you saw them playing with the national teams, I think the momentum is still there for the individual. And now let's see if they come back together, if they can play the same way as they did in the last few games. But it also depends on the opponent you face. So sometimes they make it more difficult for you, or than in other situations. So, of course, we look at ourselves a lot, but you also have to relate it to the team you face. And Nottingham Forest hasn't lost this season yet. I think they won the last 2 games of last season, so they're in a good place as well. So it's going to be a tough one and an interesting one to look forward to.
And in terms of the defence, not having conceded a goal so far, how much work did you initially think that you needed to do on that when you first arrived? Was that one of your top priorities when you got here?
Yeah, to tell them exactly what the opposite of what you are saying. The defence is keeping a clean sheet. In my opinion, it's not the defence who keep a clean sheet. It's 11 players who keep a clean sheet, and that's why we try to convince them constantly about this. Because in an ideal world, we don't need Alisson. But that ideal world is still not there, because against United we needed him a few times. Against Brentford we needed him one time in particular, and against Ipswich in the first half as well. So it's a team performance that we don't concede, and that has a lot to do with us putting in a lot of work without the ball.
Hi, Arne. In terms of the contract situations of Trent, Virgil and Mohamed Salah, how much of a distraction is it? And would it be better if situations were resolved quickly?
It's again the boring answer which you're going to get from me as long as there's no news about this, but we don't talk about contract situations over here. Is it distractive? Is that what you use for me? No, it isn't, because I'm fully focused on the individuals in the team, and they are part of the team, and trying to work with them in the best possible way to get the best out of them. So it's not a distraction for me at all.
Trent played
he was athletic against England that he can do 90 minutes for you?
Yeah, he proved he could do 90 minutes, but maybe he could have done that before as well. In the Ipswich game, I saw that he became a bit tired towards the end of the game. But he played 2 games afterwards, so I think he's completely ready to play 90. And sometimes in the beginning it was that I saw he was tired, and sometimes it's also having another player like Conor Bradley who can do the job really well. So he's able to play 90. He showed, like all the others. But I have a whole team to manage and a whole team to prepare for the season, and it's also good for Conor to get his playing minutes, or for the one that comes in for Mo, or the one that comes in for, which are the ones that I took off, I don't know exactly. So it's not always you guys, and I understand, try to look always at the individual. I look at the team. And I have to prepare the whole team, the whole squad, for the upcoming fixtures.
Over the international break, positive news for Morgan Gibbs-White, getting his first cap for England. How proud are you of him to reach that milestone?
We as a club, we are very proud, not only of him, but all the players that been on international duty. It reflects the hard work that they've been doing, and the national team recognizing that they can be useful for their country, so we are delighted for them.
I know it's quite a bit of a deep question, but you obviously knew him when he was 16 at Wolves. Did you see, or can you see, potential at that age for someone to reach international level, or do you think it was something he's really worked on in the last few years?
Since very young, he joined all the group stages of a national team. He, under 17 and 18, he was world champion. So the line was more or less was a matter of time, I think, because of his talent, his quality, and his ambition to play for England. And he's delighted, and was always one of his goals. He achieved it. Hope he repeats it.
Absolutely. Looking ahead to Liverpool now, 2 players who, of course, weren't available for Wolves, and Morato and James Ward-Prowse. How much are you looking forward to them now being involved going forward, and what do you think they can bring to the squad?
I think they adapt well to the group. The group received them very well. They are totally integrated, enjoying their football, preparing themselves for the chance when it comes, and it's up to us. But in terms of adaptation, really well. Easier for James, of course. Morato is like all the players that has joined us. The squad has received them really well.
I wonder for James in particular, what do you think he'll offer different to the other midfielders you have in that position?
Different. I think his experience, his quality, his talent, his knowledge of the game. I think honestly he can help us a lot.
And just finally, looking at Liverpool in particular, what have you noticed from their 3 games under Arne Slot different to Jurgen Klopp from last year?
Very good team, first of all. Very good players, and they started very well. Some things different, some things the same. The players, the core is there, but always a very tough team, and we know that we're going to face a very good opponent.
Thank you, Nuno.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Damien.
Hi, Nuno.
Hello.
Just going back to Morgan. He's always been a very confident young man, but what will playing for the full England team do in terms of just pushing him on to an even higher level?
I think it helps. Doesn't change much because Morgan is always 100% focused and really ambition. But it helps. He's happy. He's enjoying his football. And we want him to continue. But I see a happy boy. That's important.
And in terms of the start you've had to the season, unbeaten, should you have more points, do you feel?
It's difficult to say. I think we always competed very well in all the games. We were able to improve as a team. And this is our main goal, to keep improving, to put things right, avoid mistakes. But definitely, we are happy the way we started.
Very impressive that Liverpool have yet to concede a goal, especially in this league. Let's get the official verdict, though, on their defence and how they've started the season.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I think in the Premier League, every team carries threats. And to have that record, that starts to become something that you become a little bit, as a player, obsessed about. You know, and it goes, you don't want to concede. You start being like, we don't want to let teams into our box. We don't want to give away corners. We don't want to give away. and you just start building this real
Yeah.
bigger brick wall than already exists. They've obviously got a lot of players that are there that have an understanding of what's expected at a club like Liverpool. They've got the experience. You know, Virgil van Dijk obviously is the main leader, I think, within that back line. But they have the consistency. And it's not just the back line and the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
A lot of the work they do, you see it getting around the ball, limiting the ability of teams to actually get into areas where they can cause them problems. It's a collective, and it's clearly something that they've put, or they've slightly tweaked how they were previously doing it. And that'll be something too that, you know, teams are learning the new system to play against Liverpool, and they've had a very, very strong start to the season.
They're not as gung-ho, are they? Not as gung-ho as Jurgen Klopp, but they're still effective. But I think it's more pragmatic in their build-up. I think it helps when Robertson's fit. Obviously, Trent at right back as well. Kwanzaa's been playing there. They've changed the other one. Doesn't matter who plays alongside Van Dijk. He must help him out, no end. Gravenberg as a 6 has been a massive plus for me. He's been reinvented. People thought he was an 8. He was run forward into the box. He can handle the ball. He can break up the game, you know, and he's got Zloboslai and McAllister either side of him, 2 of the best 8s in there. And you've got Mo Salah, who's absolutely on fire again. So I love Slot. I just think he's keeping his feet on the floor. He's not too excited, but he's an incredible personality. I really do, in a different way to Jurgen Klopp. You know, not as exciting as a man, but he's certainly assured of himself. It helps when you started so well. But when this little man is on fire and back to his best and smiling as he's doing now, you know you're going to go a long way. I mean, still, that doesn't look like a man who's unhappy in the last year of his contract. You know, he looks like he wants to. If it is going to be his last year, he's going to give them Liverpool fans everything what they deserve for the reception what they've given him, and the trophies what that club have given that man. But they're both as important to each other. Why wouldn't you stay at Liverpool forever? The way it's going, I would say them and Arsenal go neck and neck to challenge.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you feel like they are the main? At
the moment, you can only say, I mean, we know it's early days, but I just think they're equipped. I think they really are. I don't think they've got Michael Edwards back there now, Richard Hughes as sporting director. There will not be a scattergun approach in the transfer market. They will. Strategic is the word, and that's what he's always been. Michael Edwards when he was first there. I think they will recruit players what they need, with the manager's input, to make them better. And I think they will go again in January if they're there or thereabouts. If they keep their squad fit, I think them and Arsenal can really challenge Man City.
Because for a long time in the transfer window, the headline around Liverpool was the lack of transfers. And then they did manage to get Federico Chiesa in, which I think if he manages to stay fit, we've not really seen him reach his potential, and certainly the potential he showed at the Euros previously. What do you make of the signing?
I think it's a great signing.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe when I actually heard still how young he is too. I feel like he's been playing a really long time. But I think it's a really good sign. I think he has a little bit of maturity, because I already think Liverpool have some good young players that you can bring in the right moments. I think he's a big game player. He's played, you know, in big rivalry games. He's played big competitions with the national team. He's won things. I think he's a really good addition.
Me too. I just think he's a ball carrier. He's something different. He can play on either flank, right or left, and he takes them forward, takes them from defence to attack very, very quickly. Got loads of pace. We're talking about a man who was player of the tournament when they played in the Euros in the UK.
Yeah. And
we saw him firsthand how good he was for the team that actually won it, Italy. He's a top player. And like I say, they get it right. Rachel's absolutely right. If he's fit, he's a good signing. But he's like anyone. Lionel Messi's as good as me sitting in the stand watching a game.
OK, well, that's Liverpool, Nottingham Forest and Tim Sherwood versus Lionel Messi in the stands. Time now to bring you...
And here to talk through everything with us, Darren Lewis and Owen Hargreaves. And it's a big one to start talking about, which is Manchester United against Liverpool. You said when you first came in today that you thought it was pretty similar from what you've seen from Manchester United and Liverpool in seasons gone by. Is that mostly the case for Manchester United, do you think, rather than Liverpool?
In respect to the results at the minute?
No, in terms of the performance and the balance of play, the way the game went.
I thought that Liverpool, it was a different kind of performance from Liverpool. It didn't feel so how Man United won it when they play against Liverpool, more basketball matches, so it's like transitional, and Man United get the opportunity to break on the Liverpool side that kind of left themselves a little bit open on the counter-attack. it looked very much more robust at the back. I think Gravenberch has a lot to do with that, and it just seemed more controlled. It felt like Liverpool in total control of that. At no stage was I feeling like, you know, Man United were going to be able to play that game. They seemed to have the character of their manager already. It's very, very in control they were.
Well, let's start by talking about Liverpool then, because there have been changes, not wholesale changes, not huge changes, but definitely there is that feeling of control. It feels a little bit less emotional, Owen.
Possibly, but I do think he's a brilliant manager who's inherited, one of the best squads of players in the Premier League. So you probably don't need to change too much. Maybe the transitions won't be as big. He's got 3 central midfield players, they're all ball players. So maybe he wants to play a little bit more, but I don't think they're going to play too dissimilar to the way Jurgen Klopp played. Why would you change it? You know, he's built up something so special. Normally when a manager leaves a squad, it's because the team's not very good or the players aren't very good. Liverpool have an incredible squad of players. Alisson and Van Dijk and Alexander-Arnold, McAllister, the whole pitch, the front 6 are incredible. So I like the fact that he hasn't gone in there and ripped it up. He just kind of complemented what they have. Obviously, there's subtle differences, but I think in the order, I don't think they play too dissimilar to the way Klopp's Liverpool played at the moment.
He went over as well to the travelling supporters. They were singing his name. They did that at Anfield for his first home game last week as well. And he seems to have been taken to their hearts very quickly, particularly given that they lost a manager in Jurgen Klopp that, as Owen said, there was no reason to fall out of love with him. No. It just came to an end, and now the king is dead. Long live the king!
Yeah, absolutely. I think the transition of power has been really quite impressive, actually, because obviously they got to know him at the end of last season. He's on the pitch with Jurgen Klopp, who leads the chants for him, and clearly he's done a lot of work behind the scenes with the club before the summer. And he's not changed that much. He's not come in and been so caught up with his own ego to believe that he's got to change a club where there are already good players. There's already a fantastic academy. The coaching staff behind the scenes are terrific.
Fans are there. Fans are behind.
Fans will take you to their hearts regardless. What is there to change? And the start to the season has been terrific. 3 games, 3 clean sheets. Now, last season they conceded 41 goals behind Arsenal and City. And that cost them the title. This time around, they look so much more robust, and up front, they score goals for fun.
How important is Ryan Gravenberch and the job that he's doing, which he probably wouldn't have expected to be doing at this stage of the season, because we know that Liverpool...
Yeah,
he's
a brilliant player. And the thing is, it didn't really work out for him at Bayern Munich, but we saw at Ajax, there's a super talented player in there. But I don't think he's a defensive midfield player. I think with the way they play, there's 3 in there, and they all kind of complement each other. You know, one goes forward, one drops off. It was interesting after the game when he spoke to Roy Keane after, and he spoke about the tactical plan, which I thought was amazing. Did it so quick. And he was saying, when we win the ball, then all the guys are good runners. They can get into the box. So he doesn't just want a defensive mid player to sit like an old school one. He wants them all to be able to play and then get into the box as well. So I like that. I like the fact that he trusts the players, but also Gravenberch is what? He's like 6'3".
Yeah.
He's quick, he can run, he can play. He can do everything in there. I think he could be anything for that team.
His defensive work in that particular game was something that they would have looked at and thought, wow. Because like you mentioned, he's not like the 6s, he's probably 8 and getting forward as an 8, getting into the box. We know he can get in there and score goals as well, but they must have been pleasantly surprised, or they've seen in training how good he is, maybe doing the number 6 stuff as well, the number 6 work, if he gets himself in that position. Perfect. Because like we know with Liverpool, they go for their man. If they don't get their man, they don't just say, right, let's go for the next one. They'll go, okay, let's see. And then they've obviously said, like, we'll try Ryan in there. And at the moment, we're talking 3 games, it looks like, wow, it looks pretty solid.
The thing is, the counter-press created all the goals. You know, turning over the ball, you know, the first one, Casemiro makes a poor ball, fullbacks are out of position, but the press actually created all the goals. And I think that's what... You don't have to be a brilliant defensive midfield player. You just got to be good at pressing, which I think Gravenberch is probably, of the 3, is probably the best of those
So
players.
that midfield 3 is a bit like when there was that move away from strikers to the kind of front 3 and everybody sort of changed positions. Is that sort of a little bit how it's working in that Liverpool midfield?
I don't know. When I played, I always preferred to play with guys that everybody could do everything. So it wasn't like, oh, you just stand there and you just do that. You go create or you score goals. Right, let's take our turns. We all play football because we want to play and we want to get a ball, we want to shoot, we want to score. Okay, sometimes we have to defend, sometimes I have to sit in. But if Righty goes, I'll sit in for him. You know, if Darren goes, you know, I'll sit in. And I like the fact that whoever's kind of in the right position at the right time, they kind of go. And I think that's probably what players prefer, rather than just being pigeonholed, say, you stand there and you do that and you do that. I think the players have a little bit more freedom to, depending on what the game has.
So do they need a number 6 then, an out-and-out number 6?
To win the Champions League in the Premier League, you need a Rodri. Or, you know, maybe not Rodri because he'll probably win the Ballon d'Or. You need somebody top level. And I do think if they get that, they could win everything. But
if they could get Zubimendi, he's the one you think that could be that guy? I think he could be that guy.
Probably. I'll be honest, I played that position, and I think the teams that win, you don't win with a playmaker there. You just got to still be a defensive midfield player when you need it, in the transitions, when you got to foul, when you got to break things up. You know, I think that position is super unique. I don't think you need to be a ball player to play in there. So I'm a fan of having a guy that, yeah, he can play like Rodri, but he can still tackle too. I think when you're trying to put a Pirlo in there, Pirlo worked because he had Gattuso. Do you know? And I think all the top teams that have won the league in the Champions League, they all had a defensive midfield player that was still there. Because when Wrighty's popping in there as a striker, I can't have a number 10 because he's not going to know how to win a tackle. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a subtle difference, but you still need to be able to tackle in big moments. And I think even Van Dijk would probably prefer that, having somebody in front that in the moments he knows that's going to tackle.
So explain that subtle difference, because it's the perfect person to have here to talk about what the position that Liverpool are trying to fill, the person they've got in place who, like you said, has got all the attributes, but it isn't his specialist position. Just explain the subtle difference between having a Gravenberch in there and getting, whether it's Zubimendi or whoever it is, as an out-and-out number 6.
Well, I think everybody's trying to play too much football now. And in the end, a game of football, there's only one ball, there's 22 players. Why do I need my defensive midfielder to be a playmaker? Yeah, he should be able to play football. But if, say, a world-class number 10 pops up in there and I play against, I don't know, Ødegaard, I need to be able to tackle. If I'm a ball player, I can't tackle. If a really defensive midfield player plays in there, I guarantee he'll turn the ball over probably 10 times a game. That's 10 extra looks for me to get the ball to say to Kevin De Bruyne. If you give Kevin De Bruyne an extra 10 looks at winning a game, I can pretty guarantee you're probably going to win the game. Yeah. But if we had that problem with England, we had all these brilliant midfield players, but none of them were specialists at kind of getting the ball back. So when we played anybody good, we couldn't get the ball back. And I do think if you're a defensive midfield player, a specialist in there, you get the ball back and you get it to the guys that win your game. McAllister and Salah, and they'll go win your game. If you're a ball player in there, what do you want to do? You want to play. Let Mo play, let McAllister play, let Diaz play. They're the guys that win you games.
Mo Salah has frequently been the player, as you say, who's won Liverpool games. Very interesting. I imagine your journalistic ears pricked up when you heard his post-match interview where he said, quite casually, in the middle of a more full answer, that it's my last season at Liverpool. Yeah. He expanded on that a little bit later on and said, I've not had any conversations with the club as yet. But it sounded, certainly on first hearing, quite decisive from Mo Salah. What did you take from it?
Well, I was shocked that he offered it rather than having it teased out of him. I mean, obviously...
Well, what does that tell you then? If you've got somebody who puts that on the table, as big a line as that on the table without being pressed for it.
It says to me that they want to send a message. Whenever I've interviewed footballers before, and you guys have been in similar situations, I would imagine, where you've wanted to get that message out there. Your ears prick up when footballers give you the information rather than you having to actually push them into a corner to give it. And then he actually didn't just offer it, but then he gave detail around it as well. I'm just going to continue in this season. I'm going to enjoy it as if it's my last. And he's either saying to the club I want a new deal or he's saying to other clubs, I'm available because I haven't started talking to the club yet.
It was beautiful from him, really. It was geniusly played.
Yeah.
Creates 3 goals, comes down and says, look, they haven't spoke to me.
That's exactly what he's
saying. I'm on free.
Owen.
You say, I ain't heard from him. And now all of a sudden the pressure goes on to clubs. What? Why have you not offered him a new deal? Well, Mo's only 32, isn't he?
Yeah, 32. Yeah.
He's way too good to be going to Saudi.
Majorly fit. We're talking about somebody that Liverpool, if that's the message he's trying to send, listen, are we going to start talking contracts? Because
I'm still the guy.
There's going to be a parade of clubs that will take him the way he is, how great he is, his fitness, his hunger. And the thing is as well, with Liverpool, is that I do get the impression that he would probably like to stay at Liverpool and break records. He's got that legacy player. If he stayed, let's say that he stayed for 3 years, and like even if he dropped off in the last year, because that's 10 years of unbelievable service. I believe that he would probably he would probably stay if Liverpool go about it. And like, I know that people get very nervy around 30s, in their 30s. But I think that he's an exception in the way that he prepares himself and the way he plays.
I think it's absolutely, I agree with that. I think he's 32, but if you look at him, his body is like a Greek god. The way he lives his life, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, you don't find him falling out of nightclubs. But also the interesting thing for me is that he's hearing a different voice now. And that could be quite key because he's not working under Klopp anymore. If he were to move, it would be, you would imagine, for another challenge. Well, in Slot, he has that challenge. He has different ideas on how to play the game, and he's still at a club where he can win another Champions League. Like you said, they can win everything if they were to get that player.
Win a Premier League
season.
They
are absolutely Premier League contenders at the moment. So I think he's at the right place. It wouldn't surprise me if they were to sign a new deal. If they were not and he were to go, for example, to Saudi Arabia, you could see why, speaking his mother tongue out there, he is a god, but he likes his privacy as well. And when he goes out there for the AFCON, goes away for the AFCON, they treat him, obviously, as they should do, like the superstar that he is, but he doesn't get that privacy. And I just wonder if in Liverpool he might feel a bit more comfortable staying at the top level of club European football.
The Premier League is back, 10 matches to look forward to, and we're going to get predictions from our two experts alongside me, starting with Southampton versus Manchester United. Tim.
0-2. I think very good weekend for Ten Hag.
Rachel.
I'm going to go one each. I think this might be Southampton's time.
Brighton versus Ipswich.
Brighton 2-0.
3-0.
Palace Leicester.
2-0.
2 each.
Fulham West Ham. Rachel.
Fulham 1-0.
1-1.
Liverpool Forest.
4-1.
Oh, I'm going for a modest 2-0.
Man City Brentford.
3-0 City.
3-1.
Villa Everton.
2-0.
I'm going to stick with 2-0 as well, I think.
Bournemouth Chelsea.
Ooh, 1-0 Bournemouth.
1-2.
Tottenham Arsenal. You can give me a reason here, or you can give me goal scorers here.
3-2.
Goal scorers?
Well, Sonny will score. I'm not sure. I don't care who else, really.
I'm going 2-1 Arsenal.
Oh.
Oh,
sorry.
Really?
Sorry.
Well, without Odegaard and...
Odegaard to start, that's a good prediction. Yes, no?
I think Odegaard will be in there, yeah. I don't think he's missing in that one.
I don't think he makes it.
Okay. And then finally, to end it all off, to round off the weekend, Wolves versus Newcastle. Is it you to start? No, it's Rachel.
Wolves haven't won yet. I think Newcastle will beat them 2-1.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 2-0 Newcastle.
All right, so we've got 10 games to look forward to in the Premier League. We've heard from the very Aston Villa-based couch here. Lovely to hear from you. The North London derby obviously headlining the action this weekend.